In this presentation, we will talk about project-based learning and how to reinvent projects. Reinventing project-based learning can be based around 3 basic principles. Imagine what would be possible, use strategies for discovery, and how to make assessments meaningful. When imagining the possibility, think about what concepts and processes should students learn. If everything students learn comes from something that's already published, it leaves little for them to imagine. Their learning becomes in a box. However, projects that are open-ended may not always get the same results, and it leads to different choices that can be made. There are several digital-aged higher-order thinking skills that should be used when creating project-based learning. However, there are 3 that are at the top of the list that everything should be based off of. 1, analyze. Analyze your project. Think about it. Illustrate, characterize, prioritize. Look at the data. Find out what you're trying to discover and how to get there. Number 2, evaluate. Read the data. Figure out what is being said, what is being discovered, and work with it. And then finally, create. Once you have gathered up the data, you have read the data, now create your project. There are 6 essential learning functions that should be in play when creating and working in a project-based situation. 1, research. Don't just find any information you can. Go deep. Talk with experts in the field. Look at original works. Grab raw data, and then you can go from there. Make your ideas visible. Express them creatively. So once you have the data, bring it out. Make it so that somebody else can look at it and find out what you're looking at. Collaborate. Work with other people. Not every one person can come up with a great idea or can be successful in doing a project on their own. Work with other people. It will make the work much lighter and easier. And project management. Make sure that the projects have coherence. If you are talking about solar energy, then the project should be based off of solar energy and how to use it. Reflect while the project is going on. If there's no revision happening, then your project may not get the results you're looking for. Just like when writing a paper, you don't just submit the first draft. You have to work through it. Reflect on what's happened so far. If it's not working, figure out what to do next to make it work. And use supported studies or enrichment resources. Use textbooks, courses, curriculum. Don't just settle for one type of information gathering. When in the middle of working on your project and you're trying to discover the best approach or the best method, don't fall into the pit. Don't have your project be long on activity and short on actual learning. Your project-based learning should be something learned. You're just enhancing the learning skills. Don't fall into the technology trap and only have technology, and don't use any traditional practices. Use critical thinking skills. Compare and contrast. Determine how one part relates to another part. Examine perspectives and alternate points of view. Don't just get stuck in your own head. Don't let your students get stuck in their own heads. Grow. Don't just focus on one idea. Some of the best projects around all share specific qualities. They're loosely designed, not unfocused or unplanned, but designed in a way that there could be different outcomes, different learning paths. They center on one driving question. So the entire project is going to focus on getting the answer to one question. There's something that captures students' interests. If a student is bored, they're not going to want to finish. They are interactive. They are hands-on. A lot of students don't learn very well just sitting and reading information. They like hands-on. They want to see how it works. They want to use their own hands. Just like any other school assignment, it is important to assess a student's work. But that assessment should be meaningful to the project. There are two different types of assessments. There are assessments for learning and there's assessments of learning. Assessments for learning are made during the entire project. It's not all made at one lump sum at the end, where a student just gets an overall assessment for the entire work they've done. Assessments for learning, or formative assessments, are made during the process of the project. This allows for collaboration of students and teacher, students with students, and then they can make adjustments to the project while they're working on it. Assessments of learning would be more of a summative assessment created at the end of the project, so the overall work of the entire project is then assessed. It measures the student's learning, and it will assess the actual project, and this can be done along with the formative assessment. So assess during and assess at the end. When working on a project, a plan needs to be put in place for creating the actual assessments. So to plan for a summative assessment, you need to focus on the objectives. What do you want the students to learn? What are they working towards? You also need to focus on the activities. So what approach might the students be taking so that they go from not knowing the answer or how to do this certain project to knowing? And then evidence. What would they need to show that they learned these things? So set up what objectives you're going to have, what activities they're going to use to meet those objectives, and then how are you going to prove that the students actually learned the answer to whatever project they're working on. Setting a plan for a formative assessment is slightly different because this assessment is going to be taking place during the length of the entire project. These are more time-based. So you're going to set milestones. So a week after they've started the project, what are you looking for? Plan check-ins. You've been working on this a while, let's meet, let's collaborate, let's find out how things are going, what do we need to improve. And then you can create other progress markers. So, 3 weeks in, where's your progress? Where do we need to work on? Are you behind? So on and so forth. This way you can let them know how they're doing, and that'll give them a better idea of what their outcome for this project is going to be. And when creating an assignment or a project that you want your students to work on, here are just a few things to think about. So, first of all, decide what is most important for the students. What do you want them to learn? Good projects get to the heart of discipline. So, if you are working on an entire project that requires writing a report, doing research, all of these things, you have to stick with the plan. Well-designed projects will stretch the minds of the students. Not well-designed projects will just be busy work for the kids, and they won't really get anything out of it. While you're working on a project, especially if it's new, review the projects. Look and see what's working, what's not working. If something's not working, obviously we're going to need to regroup and reevaluate what we're doing. Design terrific projects. Collaborate. Discuss. Look at the best way to complete great projects. Great projects will continue to grow and grow and grow, and will meet audiences for years to come. Not great projects will just die off and nobody will want to do them. Personalized learning. Open-ended projects can lead to unique learning experiences. The greatest of projects are going to open the minds of the students and make them want to continue learning. I hope you have enjoyed learning about project-based learning and reinventing project-based learning. All of the information in this presentation was collected from the book Reinventing Project-Based Learning, Your Field Guide to Real-World Projects in the Digital Age by S.B. Krause. I hope that you have enjoyed this and you've learned something.